Good afternoon, everyone. Ramblers Forever here. How's
Hello.
everybody? Hey, Julie, Wally. Haven't been on for a while. So we're gonna go over if anybody, people have followed us, watched our adventures over the summertime into late summer, I guess spring and summer, when we left Phoenix and headed out with the dog, Andy, in the truck for adventures we were gone 6 months,
Yes.
something like that.
Yeah.
So, but let's back it up a little bit and we'll start back in, not going to make this too long, but it takes a while to go through 6 months of traveling. The do's and the don'ts, what we liked, what we didn't like. Remember, this is just our opinion. Somebody else might enjoy it. Some other people might not enjoy it. But we
Our
really
struggles too.
Yeah, we had a lot of struggles along the way, but well worth it. We enjoyed it, I guess. So it kind of started back when our son got married in October of 2022. He got married down in Cancun, and to his beautiful wife, and we always enjoyed traveling. We've been on a few cruises and things like that, and we were getting to that age of, I was getting to that age of retirement. Julie's not too far behind, so we kind of thought, let's do something. Our 30th anniversary is coming up also. So there's a lot of things we thought about prior to doing this trip in 2024. So jump ahead. So in January, it took us a while to put this trip and plan it all out. So in January 2024, we sold our condo in Parker, Arizona. So we're technically didn't own anything. Sold my car, sold both motorcycles. Julie had a bike, I had a bike. Julie was living and working in Phoenix at the time, so I moved to Phoenix from January to May, till she was finishing up with the stuff she was doing for work in May of 2024. So our actual day we left was I think the last day was May 12th, May 13th, right?
May 12th.
May 12th.
Or May 1st, sorry.
And, but prior to that, so moving everything out because the condo that we had in Park, Arizona sold faster than what we thought. So we had to get everything moved. The weather was terrible. I had to ride the motorcycle from Parker to Phoenix, and actually I do believe it was snowing.
It was a little cold.
Yeah, a little bit of a few snowflakes. I was soaking wet by the time I got to Phoenix.
It took us days to get the stuff off the car, the dirt and the muck.
So that was leading up to it. And then we loading up the U-Haul and taking everything and putting it in storage then. So we had some issues. And then we were getting ready to move the stuff out of Julie's place that she was staying at in Phoenix. And in the meantime, Julie hurt her ankle on the U-Haul, on that flooring on the trailer. They have those bumps in the trailer, and she twisted her ankle. So
Fell right down.
She fell down, so she was limping around for, what was it, good month or so?
Good while.
I mean, it was even during our trip. Mm-hmm. You still had a sore ankle. She never did go get an X-ray. I think still to this day she
probably cracked it or something.
Yeah, I think it still has a bump on it. And then in the meantime, trying to move out of where Julie was living, our daughter up in Flagstaff lost her only key fob to her car, and
she has a 2003
it's 2003 Saab.
So it wasn't like we could just run to the store and just purchase a new one for her. It was a little difficult to get that accomplished.
Right. There's nobody in Flagstaff, no lock dealer, nobody could do anything. She was in the process and having to be it was sitting in the garage parking lot on campus, and that car had to be moved because school was coming to the end
She had to get her car out of
the
garage.
So we had X amount of days to get it moved, and we had no way to move it. Long story short, we found somebody online out of Utah, and I wish I remember their name, but they were able, I had to take the front seat out of the car, get into the computer underneath the car seat, send that to them so they can match so the fob could talk to each other. Get the serial number, the VIN number off the car so they can make the right key for the key fob. Because it's a fob and a key all in one. And I didn't know back in 2003, Saab was pretty advanced at the time versus other manufacturers in 2003. That had a lot of warning detection and things on it. It was beeping at us, honking at us, people came from, that was on the 4th floor of the garage, and security came. We had to unhook the battery, and that thing has a 2003 Saab, has a separate battery embedded into the fender well of that car, and so it was still going off even after we unhooked the battery. And then we had the wrong VIN number. We were off by one number, so that trip was 3 trips. In the process, we were trying to move and put everything in storage.
You had to get the box first, and then we had to send it to them to make the bob, and then we went up to try the bob. It didn't work, and so then we had to send it back to them and then do another fob.
It was, yeah. So,
and 3 trips in 1 week.
And the last day was, of course, graduation day. So we were in the middle of that traffic. And who would think the state, whoever decided that, they decided to do a controlled burn the day of graduation.
Right next to Flagstaff.
Right next to Flagstaff, with all the people coming into Flagstaff for graduation. I still baffles my mind they would do a controlled burn the day they have people coming in from all over the country and people driving up from Phoenix to see their kids graduate.
A lot of people were angry because they were late for their child's graduation because of the traffic.
It was backed up. It was backed up from...
It was backed up for hours.
Yes.
Hours.
So, and we would have missed all that if we would have had the right VIN number in the first place, because we had to redo it and drive back up there again for the 3rd time. So some stressful times before we even got out of town to go on the trip, to put it mildly, I guess. And Julie knows me after 30 years. I like to drive. I don't like sitting in traffic. That stresses me out. We went way out of our way but we made it to get the car working so she could get it moved out and out of the garage in the time frame. Plus the time frame we had, because we had to be out of Julie's condo in Phoenix like 2 days later or something like that.
Yep. Actually, the next day, we did that on the 10th, and then the next day, we left. We dropped the keys off at the rental place.
Yes. So it was a stressful time just trying to. If I was already thinking if this is the way our 6-month trip was going to be, it wasn't starting out good. And and the whole idea was we wanted to do this first off for our anniversary, second all, you never know when is when. We wanted to be out of it, Phoenix, in the summertime because we've been there enough years, it's just way too hot. Plus, we were looking for a new place to live. And we didn't know where we wanted to live for whenever I get that itch again to move, I guess. But we, so there's a lot of things going on. And so we found, and then the next night, got everything put in storage. In the meantime, I put a topper on the back of the truck. I had a Ford F-150, put a topper on the back of the truck, bought camping gear, bought inflatable mattresses. The plan was camping, save money, we went to see all the states we could see. We went to, I think, 13 different states, something like that. And we put 15,000 miles on the truck. There's some things I would do different if we do something like that again. That was a lot of miles on the truck. It beat the truck up pretty good. I think we had taken into dealers 3 times. We had the oil change every 5,000 miles. So it was 3 oil changes. So we had to make sure we were close to some town that had a Ford dealer because the truck was still under warranty. So, but it did get beat up pretty good. A lot of rock chips. It's just Arizona and the west part of the United States where they don't have grass and they have a lot of gravel alongside of the roads and things like that. So then we spent one night with our middle son. I think it was the 13th of May. And then we headed out. So where did we go from there? We went up to Page. So this is our actual trip now, people. So we're already 12 minutes in, and now we got 6 months of, and you can go back and see our videos of, because I think pretty much we got all the videos up from our experience of traveling, being gone over the spring, summer, and late summer.
So yeah, we left on the 12th actually, and we went to we made our way to Las Cruces, and we stayed there one night, and then we made it to Killeen, where my sister is, and then they had left to go see a doctor in Galveston, so they took off, and then their son came home because they had sold that condo, right? And so he was driving home, and then he ended up with a flat tire that very first day, so we had to go pick him up. And then
that was all leading up to his graduation.
Yeah. So then we stayed with my mom and at my sister's until my sister came home, and then we had my nephew's graduation, and they had Dom Perignon to drink for the celebration, and I didn't care for it.
That's the first time I think
time I ever had
either of us ever had Dom Perignon for champagne. I guess we're not. I guess that's not our thing in life.
Not our thing.
So I'd rather had a cold beer, I guess, maybe. But it was a celebration, and then we left the following day.
Yeah, we left like the next day. We drove down to Galveston. What day was that?
Saturday.
That was the 18th. So then, yeah, we left that next morning to go to Galveston to go to our cruise.
So this cruise was our
30th
anniversary. That's why we're doing the cruise. It was 30th anniversary. We were doing went on Royal Caribbean. Left out of Galveston. It was a 7-day
We had a
cruise.
beautiful drive to Galveston. There was no traffic.
Yeah,
it was great. It was just like, okay, this is all working out well.
That was a Sunday morning, and we didn't, and you know, you have to be on the boat.
And
by
we boarded so quickly.
Yeah.
We went through everything so fast. It was very nice. It was very smooth transition. And then we took off in the cruise, and then we had to slow down because someone had an accident on the cruise. I think they fell.
Oh, that's
and
first
they
time, yeah.
slipped, and I
That's first-
think they hit their head or something on the pool.
That's the first time we ever seen a helicopter, because we weren't too far offshore, right? And it's the first time they had to stop the ship, and they actually turned the ship around.
Yeah, I think they did.
They
I think they
turned the ship.
shipped
That's never happened before. We've been on a few cruises. That's the first time the captain came on, said they were going to. They had an accident, and they sent a helicopter came out to the cruise ship. I think we had some video of that, but I don't think it turned out very good. I don't know if we put it up or not in our.
I
on our
think you did. Yeah.
But they had to come out and land on the front of the cruise ship and pick this person up and take them back to shore. So that was our first day just on the cruise.
Yeah.
But the cruise went well. We stopped at 3 different. Where did we go?
We went to Roatan.
That wasn't was that the first stop?
That was the very first stop.
We never been there.
Saw some spider monkeys and some sloths. I think you did post that.
Yeah, I think so. At Carnival, I think Carnival. There's a few different ships. There's 2 different ports in there. First time we've been there. Royal Caribbean has their own port, and if anybody that has been on Royal Caribbean, they know they kind of fix up their ports themselves. And then I think Carnival comes in there, and there was another one that Princess or something like that. Maybe there's a few different ships, but it's I would presume it's going to be upcoming. They didn't have a lot of stuff. I don't know how long they've been going to Roatan, but
Was it Roatan that had the big celebration when we came to port? Or
yeah,
was it,
I think they did.
Yeah, they had dancers that came
Yeah.
out, and they had a big show while we were pulling up in the boat. It was very nice, and they had a beautiful port. But then once you crossed over into that port, you really saw how,
It's
where
city.
that country is.
Yeah,
you know.
Honduras still has a ways to go. Nothing in Honduras, but they live a different lifestyle than the United States.
And it was very hot. When we
And
were
it
there.
was for
was
being
hot.
May. It was pretty humid already. So
Very, very hot.
and then we also made
And-
stops where
Costa Maya,
Costa Maya.
and we went on the glass bottom boat for that one.
Oh yeah, to see different fish and things like that. Yeah. Yeah.
And then we went to Cozumel the 3rd day, and we went to the Mayan ruins and the bee place.
And chocolate
and the
factory. or
chocolate
something.
chocolate factory,
Yeah.
yeah.
So met some really great people on the ship. I mean, we had a good time on the ship. I think the day before the last day we got off the ship, I told Julie, I said my throat's bothering me a little bit, and I had catched cold or whatever. I was, by the time I got off the ship and we got back to Texas to pick up the dog, and thanks to Julie's sister and her husband for watching the dog when we were gone. That's another thing. If you have a dog, and especially our dog is getting older, I would think our dog does not like to travel. I'd probably rethink that now, because the dog did not have a good time
The whole trip.
the whole trip. She was basically exhausted, when we did land someplace for a few days and stay, she's just slept. But if you're going to do something like we did and be gone that long, I wouldn't do it with pets.
Well, unless your pet likes to
travel with you.
Ours doesn't like the car really at all. So,
but we've had Andy since she was a year old. She was a rescue, and she's 13, and she's blind in one eye, and she does the best she can. So she was a trooper. I mean, she made it. She's still with us. She's in the other room sleeping. Sunday afternoon, she's probably ready for a walk. But she's a trooper. She made it. But I wouldn't recommend. And we had a few times difficult time of camping. Thing didn't work out too good. I'll put it that way. So it was mostly Airbnbs and hotels. So we'll put it out there right now. Truck was a Ford F-150. Got about 19 miles a gallon. And it holds 28 gallons. So it was over $100 filling it up a lot. And we averaged 19 on the trip, and we put 15,000 miles on. I think we figured $6,000 in gas alone. So these people that travel in RVs, if they're doing, I would hate to be that, because we're traveling in a pickup truck. $6,000 was a lot of gas money. It was, and we probably spent, I got some numbers figuring up hotels, because we kind of kept track of that. We probably spent 10 grand on hotels in that length of time. And we stayed at some Airbnbs, and that didn't mean we still stayed at Julie's sister's house more than once. We stayed at our son's house in Phoenix, because we'll get to that part. And we stayed at my sister's house in Iowa. So it's not cheap. The plan was camping. If that would have worked out, it wouldn't have worked out well for the dog. She wouldn't handle the Ford F-150. We had a nice topper. It was a smart cap and things like that, but it was way too hot that summer. Even though we left Phoenix to get out of the heat, this past summer was very hot in a lot of places we went to. Everywhere we went, it was unusually hot. I mean, it was, and if anybody's familiar with smart cap toppers, they're black and they're hot. So, I mean, it was still 90-some degrees a lot of times at nighttime. So, we carried a lot of stuff we didn't really need with us, I guess, because we didn't use it a lot. So after I got off. We're in 23. And we got back from
26.
Texas.
We got off the ship and we drove back to Texas, and Wally started not to feel very well, but we spent the night anywhere. So the next day was Memorial Day. We took off, and we were going to head to Iowa, and but we decided to look at some places in Arkansas in Hot Springs.
Yeah, remember, we were looking for a house through this whole summer too. So yeah. So
we made it to where did we get to? Doesn't say, but I think it was Texarkana. We stayed at a Super 8 hotel, and it was late, and there was a storm coming in through Dallas. So we got past Dallas, so because that's where the storm was going to hit. So we got past there, and we stayed at Texarkana at Super 8, and it was bad experiences. Such a horrible hotel.
Worst hotel we've ever stayed at. Nothing against Super 8. I've stayed at a lot of Super 8s that are fine.
They said they were remodeling it.
A lot of them are, I presume they're individually owned.
It was smelled.
And it wasn't cheap.
Kept my clothes and socks on the whole time.
I mean, my white socks were like filthy.
Yeah.
But
it was bad.
and it was still like, I don't know, $80, $100, something like that. But it was getting later in the night, you know, and that's another thing. A lot of hotels sometimes don't take dogs, no matter.
Yeah.
You got to find a hotel that's going to take a dog.
Yeah.
So.
Our go-to is usually Best Western.
But even some of the Best Westerns don't even
take
take
it
dogs.
either. Which reminds me, the next night after we looked at the houses and hotels, we were in Fort Smith and we stayed at a Best Western. It was a beautiful hotel. There's a Chili's right there in the parking lot. We had a good night that next night. So, and then we made it to Des Moines after that, and we stayed at another Best Western in Clive.
A very nice Best Western over in Clive, if anybody's familiar with Des Moines, off of, I think it's 235, 535 in...
We stayed a lot there
yes,
throughout the summer.
Yeah.
I think 3 different times we stayed there.
They
were very nice to us.
Very nice place. They got to know us well there in Clive at the Best Western. So kudos to them. And they always had, a lot of Best Westerns have treats for your dogs and things like that. And they do it upright for your furry friends. So, and then we went to stay, I have a best friend that lives in Des Moines because that's where I grew up. That's where we were living in Des Moines before we moved to Arizona, actually Ankeny. So, that didn't go over so well. So, well, I have to tell you a quick story about it because it wasn't meant to, I guess it wasn't meant to be, because we were going to stay there we stayed there 3 nights?
We stayed there on the 1st, 2nd, and the 3rd, and then
we went to my sister's, right?
Yeah. No, we left right away. We drove right to back to Phoenix because your medication ran out and we wanted to just go anyway. So with the house that my sister and brother-in-law were trying to remodel, and then we were trying to help them, or we were going to help them, but their house ended up being such
more than we wanted to tackle, and we had our trip planned to do other things.
They didn't have a way to even start. By the time they came up from Texas and met us up there and they saw the house, I think they were a little shocked at the condition it was in.
I think they're all overwhelmed.
Well, yeah, we were all very overwhelmed with that. And
we did
kind of wanted
clean
to
a few days.
Let them kind of figure out what they were going to do. Yeah, we worked in the yard that last day. We spent the whole day in the yard working.
And I cleaned the roof.
And he power washed the house and cleaned up the roof, and we tried to make a pretty good dent in their outside. Didn't even start tackling the inside yet.
They did finally get it done. To my understanding, it's supposed to be done, just finished up. I think they just got back. They spent the whole summer there working on it, and they just got back not too long after we finished up from our trip. But that's done.
But during that time, we visited the graves of our parents and his brother. Well, yeah, my dad.
Right.
And then your mom and dad and your brother.
And then I wanted to find some great grandparents. I knew where they were buried, but I hadn't been to some of the cemeteries. Or I might have been to some of them, but I was too young to remember when my grandpa had passed away and things like that. So we made a trip up through. That's not when we did that, though, right?
Yeah, we went to Clive, and then we went to Winnette's, and you did some honeydew stuff for her.
I worked on her house for a little bit in Ankeny.
And then we went to the grave sites on the 30th and the 31st, and then and the whole time you're trying to get your prescriptions figured out because you couldn't get them to transfer from Arizona to Iowa.
Remember when you, and that's another thing to make sure you, because I thought I had this all, I went to my doctor, had a physical, bam, 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 sat and talked to him saying, now the prescription's no issues, just you can just transfer them as you go along. Easier said than done. Doesn't work that way sometimes. So make sure you double check with your doctor and triple check with your doctor and check with the pharmacy, because some prescriptions do not work that way.
Right.
So that was an ongoing issue on our entire trip. So I don't know, somebody leaving comments, because I'm sure there's people that travel for months on end, how they get prescriptions for that long a time, because I finally got one doctor to give me my prescription for 90 days, which helped tremendously, but we had to make a quick trip and waste a lot of money in gas just to go back to Phoenix for one day to get to see the doctor to get a prescription filled.
Yeah. Well, yeah, so we spent 2 days at the house working at Mark and Linda on their house, and then we visited the grave sites, and then we spent 3 nights at Mike's. And then
I get a short story on that. So my best friend Mike, has a girlfriend that lives there, and they've been together for quite some time. It was all good, I thought, and in the middle of the night,
last night we were there.
Yeah, I heard last night. We heard yelling going on upstairs. You know, we're downstairs because he has a beautiful house, and got to stay in the downstairs, which is, you know, beautiful. It has everything you need downstairs.
Bedroom and its own little
So,
area for TV.
But there was a lot of arguing up there, and the following morning, he had left to go to work, and she was screaming down at us to get out, and
yeah, she told us get out from the top of the stairs.
I'm not using the explicit language, but it was like, luckily there was a back door out of that place. So, and still to this day we don't know what caused the friction. Don't know.
We came home late that night before, so we didn't even see them.
Right. I haven't hardly. I've talked to them a couple
Yeah.
times. We seem to be in an okay place. We never talked about it that night and what happened, so I don't really know what happened. But luckily, we were able to, yeah. So it worked out. We got out. We edited out. So, yeah.
Drove to Phoenix. Took us a couple days because that's a long trip. So we stayed in, drove to, I said Raton, New Mexico. I don't remember that name, but it says here. And
after we left Phoenix?
Yeah, after we left Phoenix, and then we got to Phoenix the other night, and the Google said we had a couple navigations up. My phone said one direction, his phone said another direction, our car said another direction. And well, you know, now that we're in Phoenix, you know, Wally knew that he wanted to miss all the traffic coming down from Flagstaff and 17, so we took this other road. But then it ended up, what was road through Pace?
It's the one that goes through Heber, Arizona. It goes down into Payson and the back way in.
Yeah.
And
they ended up having
they had all construction, and we sat forever there, and I was not a very, you know, Julie and I were together in that truck for
a long time,
6 months straight, 24/7. So we're still married. So, and you know, everybody gets on videos and say how happy and everything. Everybody has issues. Don't get me wrong. We had our moments, but we worked through them.
No.
you know, it's not a happy day every day. We enjoyed everything we did, but traffic is not one thing I don't do well. I don't mind driving. I love driving and seeing the country. I don't handle traffic and that's another reason why we don't live in Phoenix anymore. It's like, right? So go on.
But it was, as soon as we got to Phoenix, you know, he had his doctor's appointment. We got the dog groomed. We got the car serviced. We met our son, and we stayed with him. He lives over in Peoria, actually, and I have Bubba's here, and I wrote really good, so we must have.
Oh yeah. There's a restaurant over there in Phoenix, because we can tell you good and bad places, and if you watch some of the videos and things like that, we like to eat, and there's some good restaurants we ate at, and Bubba's over on west side of Glendale, I think Glendale or Peoria, is we had a good time, good food, and everybody was very nice. I mean, we'll tell you if I had a bad experience at a restaurant. I do a lot of reviews on Yelp also, so you can find my reviews on Yelp, because if we have if you spend a lot of money to go to a restaurant, you want good food, you want a good service, and people should know about that. I mean, everybody has a bad night, but you can kind of tell what restaurants you want to go back to and what restaurants you don't want to go back to. So, and then on to where?
So we stayed with Corey for a couple days, and then we decided that we were going to head up to Kanab, try to get out of the heat. So we took off from there. We needed a couple days after those 2 days in the car driving, because from Iowa to Phoenix is
Long drive.
very long drive. We did it in 2 days, and so we took a few days at Corey's.
Especially with a dog and stopping and letting her do her thing and us doing our thing.
So then we drove up to Page, and we stayed there, and it's such beautiful areas up there. It's gorgeous. We stopped off at the dam on the way.
Water had, actually this year, I don't know what it is now, but actually the water levels were going back up, because they had a good winter up in Colorado. So must have had a lot of snow melt. But it's pretty up in Page area, and
Still hot.
Yeah, it was hot. It was hot. It was hot.
Still hot.
I mean, it was hot. I mean, it was a hot summer. And then we went to Kanab, right?
Then we went to Kanab, and then the first day we got up early and we went on a hike, and we got lost somehow. We couldn't figure out how to get up to remember, we were trying to get to the caves at the top.
Oh, yeah. So we didn't get very far on that hike. We turned around and came back.
Right.
It was the following. That's when we were staying at we stayed at an Airbnb.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And it's actually, it was kind of a cool Airbnb. It was above the movie theater in Kanab. So if anybody goes to Kanab, I would recommend.
There's like 4 of them up there.
4 apartments up above the movie theater, and nothing fancy or anything, but very nice, very
Just
clean.
a 1 room.
And you're right up on the main street there in Kanab, so there's a lot of restaurants you walk to. Mormon Temple was across the street, wasn't it? Yeah. So, there was a great barbecue restaurant there.
Well, they call Kanab Little Hollywood, because back in, I don't even know when, they filmed all the westerns there at one time. So they have little signs going up across the whole town showing what actors and actresses were there for which, shows or movies that they were in. So they did a lot of Gunsmoke and
all those movies from back then, and shows. So, and then you can walk around the town, and they have all the actors' plaques up on up along the sidewalks you can look at, and
So yeah.
tells a little history about the different actors and that were in Kanab filming during that period.
That day that we went to Little Hollywood, we walked, they had movie sets from back then. Very, very simple movie sets back at that time. But right connected to it is this Griff's Barbecue, and we didn't expect what we saw when we walked in. It's a very nice restaurant. You just wouldn't know that from the front. And then you went in, and it had great barbecue. We had
the brisket was great there.
Brisket. I think I had chicken. It was just delicious.
So I would recommend that if you're in Kanab. And the second day we tried the hike again, right?
Well, we went to Zion. We drove up a little bit.
Did Zion?
Yeah, National Park.
And then came back.
We took Andy with us.
Oh, in Zion, yeah. I mean, there is a path. We didn't do much hiking, but we did hike. But it was a walking hike along the creek there to
so we could
Zion.
Take Andy.
It's handicap accessible, bicycle accessible, and it's pet friendly.
It 3.8 miles.
So yeah, so like 4 miles hike. So dog enjoyed it. It was still hot that day. Dog was exhausted by the time we got back to the car. She drank a lot of water. We went to a restaurant right there when we got back, and we went early in the morning.
Yeah, we left right away in the morning so we could not to have to wait in line to get into the park or anything like that. So
and if you are that age where you can get that senior pass, which I got this year, so we're good for the rest of our lives with that senior pass going to any national park. So it's well worth it. I think it was $80, something like that. I think the pass is for, and that's good for me and her, even though she's not that age yet.
As long as I'm in the car.
Just so she's in the car. Just so she's in the car with me. So we did that. We enjoyed that. We like Zion. That's a beautiful place. Just amazing.
When we were at, we ate at the Zion Pub Brewery when we were there. So then when we were in Kanab, we ate at Al's Burgers, and that was just delicious. We had Griff's Barbecue. That was fantastic. And we ate at Lots and Lots of Pizza one day. And I have written here.
What day did we go hiking again and try to find those caves?
I didn't think we went back, did we?
Yeah, we didn't even go hike that first time. We didn't even make it. The second time, we made it to the top, but you didn't know how to get down.
Yes, I didn't know how to get down.
There's a few people, they don't have really good directions how to get up to these caves up on the side of the, I don't know what you want to call it, cliffside or whatever, but it was difficult. We never made it actually to the caves. There was people up there, but you need to pay attention where you're going because that was a long day of hiking, and lucky neither one of us got hurt, especially when she still had a bad ankle.
Yeah, it wasn't the greatest yet.
So, anyways.
So then we left Kanab and we drove up to Panguitch, Utah. And I don't know if anybody's been along that road there. I don't even know what highway it is, but that's my favorite drive because we usually take that road when we go see Jason up in Boise. And I just love that drive. I think that's so beautiful.
Goes right along a creek.
So you see a lot of horses and cows and farmlands down, and the bottom is green, and there's a creek, and then right next behind it are mountains. So I think it's gorgeous. So.
And we went to the other national park there, right?
Well, we stopped off at we went through Bryce Canyon.
Oh, Bryce Canyon.
Yeah.
So I've been by there a couple times, never stopped in there. Recommend you do Bryce Canyon too. If you're in Zion, you might as well go over to Bryce because that was pretty cool inside there.
We didn't do much there because we had the dog.
Yeah, because there's not hiking trails. There's a lot of hiking trails, but you can't take the dog on them.
No.
So we had to basically get out at the stopping points to look.
Then we drove up to Beaver, went to Beaver, Idaho, and
If you ever-
we love that Best Western.
That Best Western Beaver,
it's
Utah.
the greatest.
Good Best Western to stay at. So.
And they have a little place next door called the Crazy Cow Cafe. Good food there. Then we decided that morning that we were going to go to Yellowstone and Grand Teton, so we headed that direction. Then we drove, but we ended up driving up to Idaho Falls on our way.
Never been there.
Never been there, and didn't know that all that was there. That's gorgeous too, all those falls right there. We stayed at the Best Western right across the street from it.
That's in some of our videos. If you go in the past and look at that, their temple is amazing up there that you can see across the river. It's the Snake River, and
they have the walking path all the way around it.
Yeah, that's not like wouldn't call that natural falls. They're man-made going down the river because they generate. I do believe they use that to generate power through there. But Idaho does a good job on renewables, especially when it comes to their water. They're lucky they have the Snake River.
And so it was so nice. We decided to stay another night. I mean, the hotel is pretty expensive. Oh, since we love the area so much, so we decided to stay another night. And then the next day it snowed and it was so cold.
The bottom fell. It was
wind
beautiful.
Was blowing.
The bottom fell out of the. We wouldn't have spent that much money to stay for that next day because it was miserable.
We ended up sitting in the hotel all day long.
It was cold for being summertime.
It was freezing, and of course we didn't bring that type of clothing with us either. So we were. It was cold. It was. I have written here. It was 48 degrees, and they had 40-mile-an-hour winds on and off all day. We just ended up just taking the dog out and really quick and coming back in. So that was sad. Then we drove to Yellowstone, and of course, since that storm kind of went through on our way to Yellowstone, it was very pretty because there was snow on the ground. June 17th, and we're seeing snow everywhere up there. So that was
yeah, it
nice.
snowed on us when we were waiting for Old Faithful to go off. And it doesn't always go off on time. It's an estimated time. So just be ready because they gave us and then it didn't go off when they said it was going to go off. We waited another, supposed to go off every hour or every...
you know what?
I'm sure somebody will put something in the comments. I'm sure everybody's been to Yellowstone, or if you got it on your plans, make sure you have the right clothing because I had shorts. It was cold.
And it was cold, but
it was cold.
I was standing there and waiting for it because what is that water? What is that gas or whatever? My feet on the ground were so warm because...
Oh, that's weird, yeah. So it's cold. Yeah, the ground is very warm. So it's like, yeah, you put your hand to the ground, the ground was very warm. And to drive back, now getting into Yellowstone, we went early and the traffic was already backed up through the town. So there's ways around getting through that. You just kind of have to...
We saw some cars do it, so we ended up doing it.
There is ways to get through that faster than getting stuck in the traffic, because traffic was already backed up quite a ways. And there's ways to get to that town. So kind of plan that out and discuss that, but there is other ways to get around that so you don't get stuck on all that traffic waiting to get to the entry.
And Yellowstone was just beautiful. I just thought it was gorgeous with all the trees and the the water that was following the road and etc. I just thought that was great. But our highlight was the buffalo.
Yeah, the park ranger stopped the traffic for the buffalo to go across the road.
and we were a little upset because we were the last car that before he stopped the traffic, and we were watching this buffalo, and then he waved us by, and then he stopped the car after us and then had the buffalo walk across. So we were a little upset that we missed the buffalo walking
He was big
in front of our car, but we did get some pictures. I'm sure you have a video of that as well on our
that was kind of cool to see. I got to see some buffalo. We weren't like some of the people that you see standing out there that shouldn't be standing there when there's buffalo roaming around. No, we did what we were supposed to do, but it was funny to see a ranger stop traffic and let this buffalo walk across. He was going to, it looked like he was going to another herd that was on the other side.
Yeah. Then we drove to Rexburg, Idaho, and we stayed there. I don't really remember that hotel very much.
No, I don't either.
But then we headed off to Twin Falls.
That's another
so
place.
On our way to Twin Falls, we saw Bear World. So we stopped off at Bear World and we drove through it a couple of times because, you know, you pay for the day, so you get to drive through as many times as you want. So we got to see all sorts of different.
Saw grizzlies, black bear,
bear,
brown bear. So you might as well go through it a couple times because you pay and you can go through it many times you want. You just say you want to go through it again. I think it was worth the money. It was what, 15?
Yeah, it wasn't that much at all, and so it was lots of fun. And then we ended up driving over to Twin Falls, and we stayed at the Best Western there. Wally talked to Mike that day, I guess. They had a good talk. So
that was the first time we talked from the time we got booted out of my friend's house in Des Moines area. So
then we went and saw Twin Falls. It was it's the Snake River.
Snake River, yeah.
And then,
that's where Eve Knievel jumped his rocket bike. So if anybody gets up to that, that's the Shoshone Falls? Shoshone Falls. So we've been to Twin Falls a few times. I highly recommend it. It's $5 to get down into the park. Yeah. Well worth it. Great hiking trails. You can hike clear back to where Eve Knievel tried to jump. I'm aging myself for the people that, you know, I grew up in Eve Knievel days. So we hiked clear back there to see that. It's probably a 3-mile hike back there, something like that.
Yeah.
So, but the falls, and I didn't know, and actually this year, the falls were wasn't a lot of water.
No, they had shut off half of it.
So some years the falls are really moving. This year there wasn't so much, but it is very pretty. I have some pictures. If you go back into our videos when was this, June?
Yeah, this is
June
20th.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
You know, I don't know if we'll get done, because we're only in June, we go clear to September, so I might cut this and we'll finish up on another video. But we'll go here probably till 7 more minutes or so, and then post this, and then we'll finish up we're only in June, we go clear to September, don't we?
So then we took off for Boise. We were a little early. Jason wasn't really ready for us, I don't think yet. I think he was still working or something. We told him we'd be there, and I think we ended up showing up a little early, but we love going to we stayed at an Airbnb, and it was a great Airbnb. It was right along the path. A very nice
If
place.
everybody gets to Boise and at Albertsons Park and the Greenbelt of Boise, Idaho, it's a must. I mean, you got I don't know, is it 30 miles? A walking path around that.
Oh,
it goes the
walks
Boise River,
clear around.
goes clear around it goes clear down through downtown to past the football stadium, past Boise State, and so much to do there. I mean, restaurants along you got your main Best Western. There's a restaurant there that you can sit out and you can rent scooters.
We like that Best Western bar there, the Sandbar.
There's a new restaurant that just opened there this year too. It used to be Joe's Crab Shack and something else now. But when we first started going to Boise, we should have bought a condo back then, because now they've built that up, and I think the condos started at, when we looked at them when the oldest first moved there, I think they were like $250, something like that. I think now they're close to $1 million. Boise's real estate has got outrageous price. We looked at some places up there out of our price range. So we also got to see.
I don't think I enjoy the winter time too.
First grandson, Ellis. So that was our second time seeing him. He was a little bit older. They came out to Phoenix
when he was just like a month or 2 months old.
Yeah. So this was our second time. So we got in the plans. We got to get back there because now he's going to be a year old in February. So he's getting into those fun years. Mm-hmm. So we spent a few days in Boise, but it's a must do. We did it's a good hike to hike up to, there's a old, we didn't do it this time, but if you go there's an old prison up in the mountains right outside of Boise that you can go through. It's kind of neat to see.
A little history.
History, yeah. And it's not that expensive to walk through that.
They had a women's prison there that when they used to have adultery,
right.
and they would arrest them and they would throw them in this jail for adultery, and
it's a lot of history there.
It's so small, the places that they put them in. It was amazing. So it's very, very interesting.
And then it wasn't this time, but there is a cross clear up on top of the, I don't know if you want to call it the hillside, or they're not, I don't know if you call them mountains, but it's quite a hike to get up to the cross up there too. So
we did.
That's something, if you get to that area, it's well worth going to see, because you can see all of looking down on to Boise.
Oh, that Airbnb we stayed at was Casa, K-A-S-A.
Oh, it was brand new, and
gorgeous
it's down. It's closer to downtown Boise, but it was right on the green belt. I don't know if they're still doing Airbnbs. I think we were the first.
We were the first ones staying there.
Airbnb guests they had. It was a regular apartment complex. I think people lived there, but we were the first Airbnb. Beautiful Airbnb. It was nice. Very nice. So
and then we left after several days there. I think we stayed almost a week.
Something like that.
We stayed there for quite a while. And then we left there on the 26th, and we left to go to Salt Lake City. I think we stopped off at a Best Western, and then we went to a concert there at the
amphitheater.
At the amphitheater. I didn't write that down.
It sits up on, sits out of town a ways. Sits up on the hill, and you can see all downtown Salt Lake at nighttime. And you sit, either bring your own blanket, or they'll rent you a blanket. You can buy a blanket, and then rent your chairs, because they do have some seating, but it's down close. The rest of it sits on a hill, so you just sit in the grass. So it was REO and who?
No, it was Foreigner Sticks.
Foreigner
And
Sticks.
John Waite was the one that opened up for him.
So it was a good concert. We had a
We
good
had
time.
decided to do that long before we had even left. We bought tickets to go see that.
Now, I would recommend that you Uber it.
Oh yeah, traffic was
Traffic was terrible. So but they have kind of confusing, but they have all the Uber cars in one area, Uber and Lyft, I would guess.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a good concert. It was well worth it. Plan on if you're gonna drink. Utah's got some different laws when it comes to alcohol consumption. So basically, it's gonna be beer or malt liquor. I don't think there's any hard liquor at the amphitheater. I don't remember seeing any. And it's not cheap. So I think it was $15, something like that, for 24-ounce can of beer or something like that. Somewhere around that. So we're into the end of June, right?
Yeah.
So we're gonna cut it here. We'll do another video going from end of June, and hopefully the second part we can do it a little faster. Talk to everybody later. Thanks for watching, and hopefully you get some ideas. Leave some comments, good, bad. Click the like button. We're going to be doing some more videos. We're going back to Arizona for Christmas time. We're not going to stop doing videos. We haven't even got to the part where we finally ended up living. Mm-hmm. So we got a lot more to tell you, and we'll do that in the next video. Bye. Take care.